I'm by no means thinking you have to. It's good, but
Well, the government's taking most of my stuff that I make away now. At least what I'll be getting is Social Security.
How long do those take? This is 30 minutes each side. It's not going to be enough. What I want to do is ask Evelyn to tell me some of her experiences whenever she gets a chance. Some of her memories. Yeah, any of that.
Well, she would be your great aunt too. Then.
what?
Just like my great aunt.
Is she Mike's great aunt? Matthew's great aunt. It's Evie's Mike's great
Mike
aunt.
is Evie's great aunt. Evie is Mike's great aunt, but she's also Susan's great aunt because Susan and Mike are first cousins.
Yeah, I thought it was, well, to Matthew, it's her great aunt. His great aunt.
Right.
Because I was telling Jackie that there's 3 grandmothers on Haywood side of the family still living. So Matthew and Christina have a great-great-grandmother still living.
Jean's grandmother was still alive. She's in her 80s.
All I have to do is
My grandmother was in her 80s when she died. My grandmother.
That's a stupid question.
What?
Donahue.
Are you tape?
That was a stupid question because your other grandmother is my mother, and I certainly know. You know, I mean, that was a stupid question.
Why are you wasting your tape on that?
What?
Huh? It's a waste, really. It's not.
Over it.
Well, no. There's not that much left. I'm not going to tape that much right now, anyway.
Well,
yeah, I did really well, I thought, when I first uploaded. I was very pleased.
Well, my first experience was with Dad in the back, and I think that helped quite a bit because when you have somebody that's strong in the back of the canoe, then they take a lot of the burden off of you to do the right thing. You have more margin for error.
Well, they can steer it wherever they want. You know, when you're in the back, you can, whatever the person in the front does, you can determine.
That's right.
Yeah, there are times when the
But that whole experience, though, made me think more about having outdoor education in the schools because so many people now are interested in going out and doing these things. But they've been living in the cities and they don't learn how to get along in the outdoors as they grow up. So it seems that some formal kind of education is really necessary for them. We saw people down there who would be out on the river during lightning, which scared us to death. I mean, out on the middle of a river in an aluminum canoe. And it was just amazing that they wouldn't think that they should get out and wait till the lightning is over or something. You know, rain would make a difference, but the lightning is just so dangerous. And many of them would have like cushions or life preservers, but there would also be a lot who didn't. And something tells me the ones who didn't are probably the ones who didn't swimming. So
They think they'll be okay. I just finished an article on floating, and I touched the 11 point, the Buffalo, and some other river. And they said that everybody, they were saying that it was so popular that they may have to put restrictions on the canoes and limit the number of canoes in the water at one time.
well, we almost felt like you needed a traffic director at these little rapids, and we would almost just sit there on the rocks sometimes and kind of tell people where to go, but you really thought that you did need one because people would come down the river, they wouldn't be sure which way to go, and then people would start piling up, and you really needed somebody to say, take that one, this one has a jam here.
Yeah, they can't control their canoes well enough.
That's right. But just the very thought that you might get to the point where you would need a traffic director on the middle of a river. So absurd.
Putting lights up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Runs.
Yeah.
Mike, if you want to split
Go ahead, I'll drink anything right now.
you will. I split one with Mom, and I'm still thirsty.
Then while you're
Look
over
at
there,
your sunburn.
while you're over there, give me a suntan lotion. I'll put some more.
Where, is it in that red box?
No, you got it.
You get some of that after lotion.
Yeah. Well, it'll probably help a little bit. You should.
Another cousin. Your sisters
I
are
remember when
testing.
my mother met my grandmother met my grandmother met her husband. Oh, yeah. Or shall I just talk about your grandmother?
Anything. Good. You can start from there. That'd be fine.
Well, when shall I start now?
Okay, start with when your grandmother met
Okay.
her.
I remember some. You ready?
And her name and everybody's name.
Oh. Yeah, I remember. My mother's maiden name was Maria Alvinovich, and she was born in a little town called Zrnovnica in Yugoslavia. It's outside of Split, Yugoslavia. It's a suburb of it, and it's on the Mediterranean Ocean. And I recall that my daddy was a superb swimmer, and I seemed to be a natural-born superb swimmer, and so was my son. Mother, when she talked to me quite a bit about her family, I was married late in life, and Mother told me that her mother was married late in life too. She said she had, now I'm talking about my mother's mother, the way she got married. She was about 28 years old, and she was crossing over the mountains on a donkey, and she had a lot of vegetables and stuff that she was taking to the market in town. And she met a sailor coming in, and he tried to block her way, and she cussed him out because he was blocking her way. And he found her very attractive, so he asked about her around the town. And my grandmother's father, when he heard that, he said, well, he's going to marry his daughter off on her, because at that time she was 28 years old and had no prospects. And she had a lot of brothers. And in the old country, their wealth was the land that they owned, and they always passed it on to their children. And so when he found out this sailor was interested in his daughter, and she was 28 years old, he said that he would give her a certain part of the land right away if he married her and everything. So when he did marry her, a dowry, I think it was called, he refused to give it to her. So my mother, they moved to a little island somewhere. Well, it was Zrnovnica, really, you know.
How do you spell that?
It's Zrnovnica.
And that was her last name?
No, her last name was, I didn't know my grandmother's last name.
You don't?
Isn't that a shame? I don't. And he was a sailor, and so he had to keep working. Instead of staying there and working on the farm like he had intended to, he had to still travel, and he was a sailor, and he had to keep doing that. So he opened up a little shop for her, and he would go traveling around the world, and every time he'd come home, they'd have another child. Now, my mother, which is your great-grandmother, I suppose, was the oldest girl born, and her name was Maria. And she told me that in Europe, you weren't allowed to sell coffee or tobacco unless it was real highly taxed by the government. So her father would smuggle it in the country. So we have a smuggler in the family. And through that little shop that they had, he would sell it, but it never was in the shop. And the people, the tax collectors, suspected he was doing it, but they never could find it. But Mother said it was buried somewhere in the hillside, in the mountains somewhere. And then when he was on one of these journeys around the world, my mother's father, is this kind of complicated?
No, I understand.
He came to St. Louis, and my daddy, there was a whole bunch of Croatian men there. Now my daddy, his name was Dewey Domjanovic. His father was the mayor of this little town that my mother was raised in. Well, he was kind of big shot of the town. Whatever it was, I don't think he was a mayor, but it was a title that he had. And he said he wanted the children in his town educated because none of his kids could read or write. So in his home, he got a teacher, and all the kids in the village would come to his house, and my mother went to his house and studied there. So when her daddy came here to St. Louis, and here the youngest son, my father was the 11th son, the 11th child. They have one daughter, and all the rest were boys. And he left the old country after he served his hitch in the army there, because by the time they separated all the land, he felt there wasn't enough left, so he came here to seek his fortune. And when he was 33 years old, my grandfather came here, and he says, Dewey, you're such a handsome man, why don't you get married? He said, well, there's no girls around here. He says, you know, I think my daughter is 16 years old. I think she's just about old enough to be married. So he said, if you just send for her and send her the money for the passport, and she'll come in. The daddy wrote, and she dutifully came over here and married him.
Right?
Yeah, married him sight unseen. Of course, she knew that he was the son of this town. In those days, they did things like that. And John Novakovich was an old friend of my mother. He said, you never saw a prettier thing than she when she got off the train when they met her. She was a real little girl. My daddy was a tall man. And now their daughter, their first child that was born, was named Catherine Marie Domjanovic, my father's name. That was your grandmother. And that was their first child, and she was quite spoiled. You know, being the first child, she had, as in my childhood, I remembered being very, very poor. But you never knew it by the way my sister looked. Now, maybe they lost anything they had, but she always had the finest of everything. She seemed to me that way. And I remember when she was growing up, they were kind of strict with her. And she had to take me everywhere she went, you know, when she was a teenager, and she used to call me Jinx because she had to take me with her all the time. And she married quite young. I think she was around 17 when she married George Sorich, who was at that time considered quite a catch. And he was a very handsome man. Your daddy looks a lot like him. And I guess you know that by pictures you've seen of George, or if you don't remember him when he was young, but he was very handsome, and he was the kindest man. He was real gentle and kind. I remember when we'd go to dances, he would always ask the homely girls to dance because nobody else would. And I always considered him, gee, how lucky my sister was to marry a man like that. And she had a very, very big wedding. She was the first girl that was married in the Croatian hall when it was built, and they called her the Queen of the Croatians on account of that.
Right?
Yeah, in St.
Where
Louis,
is the
Missouri.
Croatian Hall now?
It used to be on 1441 Shoto Avenue, but I don't know if it's still there. We have a Croatian church and hall, but this was built just for a gymnastic association and dances and dramatics, and we were very cultural people.
And she married there, did you say?
She was the first one married in that church. It was a real big wedding. I think it lasted 3 days.
And the church still exists then?
The church that she was married in is on 12th and Russell.
12th and Russell.
Yeah, I don't think it was there when she got married, though. I think it was somewhere on 12th and Shodo at that time.
Did they move the whole building? Or?
Well, they left the building. They just bought an old church, and it used to be a convent on 12th and Russell. They have several buildings in there in the church.
How did she meet George Sword?
Well, this was it. This hall was a social hall for all the Croatians, and we would have plays. We had a choral society, we had a dramatic society, we had a gymnastics society, and it was all, it was gymnasts, really very hard work, that single bars, and we were all trained in that since we could walk, all of us. And that, it was just a part of, it was part of the old country here, and the people would all meet there, and it was, well, it was unusual, I think, that you all went someplace and there was so much to do, and it was a very close-knit people that came from Europe just moved all their ethnic qualities and group and continued there.
Were you the youngest of all the Domjanoviches?
No. I was there were two daughters born between Kate and I. One was named Margaret and one was named Teresa. And one died by falling off of a second-floor porch. It was very tragic. My daddy was away at a picnic that time, and he came home, and he has said it was such a wonderful day, and when he come home, his child was dead.
How old was this child, and what was her name?
I don't think her name was, she was more than 2. I don't know whether it was Margaret or Teresa. It must have been Margaret. And then the other one had a very bad fever, and in those days they didn't have antibiotics, and she died.
Oh, so you weren't born then, were you?
I think they were still alive when I was born. We came about 2 years apart, so one must have been a little older than I thought. But when I was born, my grandfather's a sailor who happened to be in town again. Mama said he wouldn't even look at me. He said, "The boy, what you doing with another girl? When are you going to have a boy?" And my mother, but my daddy never felt that way, you know. And my mother always did tell me, I think I was my mother's favorite because she said, yes, she might be the most important one in our family. And I was the one that did support my family, send a brother to college, and yes, I was.
Why did you have to support your family?
Well, my father was hit when I was 14 years old. He was hit by a car on Halloween night, and he was a hit-and-run accident it was, and he was in a hospital unconscious for a long time, you know, a week or so, and he was in a coma. I know you can't be completely unconscious, but when he got over that, he was always sick. He had real bad headaches, and he worked in a quarry. He was a stonemason in a quarry, stone cutter. And one time after the accident, they were blasting, and one of the rocks split his skull open. And I remember I came home and I saw him sitting in the backyard with a real big bandage over his head. And I start crying. I said, my poor daddy, you know, was so sick. And he says, I'm not sick anymore. That when that stone split his head, all the pain was gone. So there must have been some pressure that accident released. But at that time, he must have been around 48 years old, and in those days, you were an old man at that time, and he just couldn't work anymore after that. You couldn't get a job. And my mother was a seamstress. I mean, she had to go out and work, and there was us as kids at home. And one summer I think I just finished 1 or 2 years in high school, and she said, Ev, you come and work with me this summer. Well, I never went back to school after that because she got a nervous breakdown. She was going through menopause, I suppose, and I was the oldest one at home. Kate was married at that time. That was your mama, your grandmother. And there was Phil. Now, Phil was very spoiled. After 4 girls, he was a stinker. We didn't have nothing, but he wanted a hammock, he wanted a rifle, he wanted a bicycle, and he got it. And we just didn't know any different. I mean, he should have had it. And when Matt came along, he was really the one we all loved. He's real spoiled.
He was the youngest.
Hmm.
And when did he die?
He died when he was 52 of a massive heart attack. He was a football player.
52.
Was he 52 or 42?
When he...
I don't know. It was somewhere around that. Must have been 42. So, and Kate got multiple sclerosis when she was about 10 years in a wheelchair from it, and she died when she was about 54, I think.
Something like 54, 57 was what I remember.
No, I didn't think she was quite that old, but it might have been. And she was in a wheelchair for 10 years.
What do you remember about her as a person?
As a person, she's spoiled. We spoiled, I mean, her daddy and mother spoiled her, our father probably, when she was at home, and then she had a superb husband that just did everything for her. Maybe I say that with a little envy because I never had no one to spoil me. I was married pretty late in life, and I think the only reason I got married to have a baby legally, because I'm very fond of children. So maybe it's with envy I'm talking, that's saying she's spoiled. Maybe she wasn't.
What else do you know about her?
See, there was such a big age difference between us that what did she like to do?
You were a seamstress, right?
Yeah, but I was a big town boy. I was so different than her. And I think if you talk to her friend Caroline, who's still alive, she celebrated her 50 years of wedding anniversary the other day. When she looked at me, she started crying because she thought of Kate. Kate was her best friend. Now, she could tell you more than that. Kate and I, there was 6 years between us, and she got married when I was 14. So she was 19 then when she got married. I was about 13 or 14. So what she really liked to do, I don't know, she was married so young.
Yeah. Anything that comes to mind about things that you did when you were children, the places that you went when she...
Well, the hall I remember most of all. We used to go to dances. We all superb dancers. We were all good dancers.
You did Croatian dances, or did you?
Yeah, well, we did the Charleston, and yeah, we did all that. I mean, they danced any kind of way, but we could both speak our language and write it. And she used to do interpreting once in a while for international institute. People used to come there from all countries, and when the Croatians came, they would call her to translate. And I think even one court case, she was in court translating for some people. And she played our musical instrument. I have pictures of her playing that. She was quite popular as a girl, I remember, but she was... And then I grew up late. I didn't mature early. So that even made our age difference so much different. So her likes and dislikes, it was hard for me to tell, what she liked.
Can you speak Croatian now?
And I can write it.
And you still remember it? Do you speak it with your relatives now?
No. But once in a while we have a person that one time I was ringing my clock at work, and I said, my gosh, this sounds like a Croatian name. They said, yeah, there's a girl there can't speak English. So I looked her up. I said, are you from Yugoslavia? She was a person that had a aerial mapping topography. I think they call that training in Yugoslavia. And when her and her husband came here and she was supposed to get a job drawing maps, they told her to learn the language a little better because, she couldn't communicate. So they came to St. Louis and she got a job sewing to tide her over. And I spoke to her and I thought it was real good, but I spoke hesitatingly. It hadn't been used for a while, but after I was with her for a couple of weeks, it was coming very naturally. Your grandmother was very fluent at it.
But her native tongue was English, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, we were all American.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kate spoke I think she spoke mostly German because the kids in the neighborhood, we lived in the German neighborhood, when she went to school, we went to a Croatian Catholic school. And I don't know if we knew how to speak English. I don't think we did too well when we started school, and it wasn't too important because we were going to go to school to learn it. But, you know, this was a long time ago.
Yeah, I'd like to hear you speak some English words, some of
The Croatian words.
some of the, like,
how are you?
Yeah.
Is kako ste. We have some beautiful music. We have opera music. I'm not going to sing it for heaven's sake. But we have some cute little ditties that I was trying to, you know, when you want to say something, you don't know what to say.
Sure.
But
Well,
if I could just say some words.
Some of the conversational things that you might say to someone, just to get an idea of how to converse.
Ja sam bila u crkvu danas. That means I went to church today. Ja sam videla tvoj brat. I saw your brother. When I just don't know what to say.
Can you say the alphabet?
Let me see. I don't know if they have an alphabet. A, B, C, D. No, that's Spanish. I don't
speak
really.
Spanish?
Yeah, I had in high school. Oh, and then after I went to high school, my mother made me go to night school all the time. I was going to night school when I was 30 years old.
Oh, my.
I mean, I was learning something all the time. I can't think of what Kate's pleasures were. I mean, what she...
Well, all I remember her doing was sewing a lot.
Well, that was after she became that. Then she would knit and crochet and stuff like that.
How did she take her illness?
Fabulous. I didn't think I would have been capable. And that's it. Now, and I've got a subject I could speak about because all her friends, they stayed close with her. When she made a friend, they stayed with her. And every time they had a multiple sclerosis collection or anything, the women, her friends, they were always coming to see her, and they said, oh, Kate's a saint, and how beautiful she's handling her illness. And they just couldn't say, why would it happen to such a good person? See, now I could see that in her own age group, she was a fabulous person. And the donations from this group of women that she knew were so huge at the society that they all went out and collected and worked for it, and she was extremely well liked by the women and the people in her age group. And they say it's a shame that why had it be such a good, kind person? So she must have been a good, kind person.
I'm going to stop for. I'm sure
everybody I remember now. I meet people and they say, well, how's your sister? And they say, Kate, why? All the time. I remember that, but until I mentioned it about that. Now, at that time, before that, I know Mother used to always scold her because her work wasn't as neat and pretty as mine and things like that. But, see, I didn't until you mentioned, recall that she was a good person. I think of all my favorite and her favorite and Phil's favorite is Matt.
Matt,
yeah. Maybe because he was the baby of the family, but he was our favorite. I'll think of some more things. I'll think in a different vein and try to remember some of the things about her, and I'll write to you.
Okay, sure, I'd like to. I should probably give you my address.
Have you got pictures of her? I imagine.
I have a few. Just one when she was holding me when I was a baby.
Oh, just that time.
Yeah, I don't have any other pictures of her.
Well, I thought maybe, haven't you got her wedding picture or anything like that? Well, I don't want this on tape, but there was
it's pretty good.
Croatian people. The boy who asked a girl to be a bridesmaid with him at a wedding would buy her clothes for her. And there's a picture, I hope I could find it, but she had a fabulous dress. And this man wanted to marry her real, real bad. His name was Lucicic. and he was a carver of stone, and he was the originator of the tamburitsas, the junior tamburitsas, here in St. Louis, and he became known throughout the country. You know how well he did with this group, and they have a memory of him at Duquesne University. And, well, he wanted to marry her, but there was another guy. I mean, there was a whole lot of men all within him, and her marriage was chosen really by my mother and dad. They picked a man who was supposedly real well off, and well, they couldn't have done better, really.
Was he well off at the time?
At the time, but then came a depression, and he lost his house. And
what did he do for a living before the depression?
He was a stone mason. He built houses, and when the depression came, he got a job at the waterworks in St. Louis.
Yeah, I remember he worked there till he died, didn't he?
Yeah, he worked there a long time.
Well, almost got there. Yeah, they are too.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't know what else to say. But see, now more things are coming back.
What was George Sorek like?
Everybody loved him. He was the gentlest man. You've never seen anybody as gentle as him. I loved him. I adored him. He was very good.
He couldn't speak English very well, could he? Didn't seem.
He spoke very well. My homeroom teacher at high school was his English teacher in night school. And when she found out that he was going to marry my sister, everybody knew him, loved him. And her name was Miss Stout, and she said, oh, that George Sorek is a wonderful guy. And he was so kind, so good. And a man, he was like a bull, strong as a bull. He wasn't too tall, but he just was a real man. I liked him. And everybody liked him. My parents picked a good husband for my sister.
Let's see. Were there any other children in his family? Did Kate have any children who died? No.
No, they all lived, and I loved every one of them as much as I loved all these other kids. Marge and they thought I was Margie's mother. She'd go with me everywhere I went. And little Millie, she was the firstborn, and then I remember one time your dad was laying in bed he had all kinds of sores on his face. It was impetigo, and I was taking care of him. And he was real skinny, little sickly-looking boy.
Most of his childhood he was?
He was sick quite a bit, and I remember one time, everything he ate, he'd throw up. And finally, the doctor says, make him drink pineapple juice, and if nothing else but that stays down, he'll get well. And it gave him enough nourishment, and that stayed down, and he got well.
How old was he then?
Let's see. I don't have concept of time. Well, the first time I remember when he had the impetigo, he must have been about a year or 2 year old. He was real little, and he had these horrible sores on him. And I used to babysit all the time. George and Kate would go out dancing a lot, and I was kind of I was a wallflower if I went out anywhere. So I wouldn't go. I would babysit quite a bit.
Oh, what was Milton Sorek like as a child and as a teenager?
Well, I adored him. I liked Milton a whole lot. I used to take him, when I went to gym class, I'd take him with me. A lot of times I'd keep him in my bed overnight. Let's see. I can't recall, but I do remember when he went in the Army. I thought he was the handsomest guy there. I have pictures of him. The person to ask, I think, would be his family.
Sure.
But, I was growing up with him, I guess, and I wasn't paying much attention. His mother and dad would be the ones to know. Margie might know. Millie. But I know I used to take him with me quite a bit. But every one of them I would do that. The next baby come along, I'd take charge. I'd take over. But I remember one time I introduced him to a designer I was working with. He must have been a son of a gun of some kind.
What do you mean?
Because he liked to go out, have a good time. And he said this Kathy was so much fun that one time they went swimming together. She was the designer I worked with, a beginner designer. And I think she came out she had 3 bathing suits on in one day. Well, now we all do that. But in those days, it was an exception to go to swimming pool with more than one bathing suit. But there was quite a difference in age there, and we didn't live too close. So I don't know, and I really don't know about Morgie either. Too much,
Do you remember
although
Millie?
I remember them all. I knew that I had a lot to do with them, but once they became teenagers, I kind of lost track of them or something. Maybe I'm not interested anymore. I don't know. I don't think that's true, but you'll have to ask somebody else about that. I might think of something.
What were your parents' names again?
My father's name was Dewey Damjanovic, and my mother's maiden name was Maria Aljinovic.
And you spelled that for me earlier, right?
I don't think I did. Aljinovic is spelled Aljinovic. I spelled the town for you before.
Yes, near Split.
Yeah, Kod Splita.
Have you been to Yugoslavia? No? You want to go?
No.
You don't want to go?
I am a poor traveler because I think to do anything in this world you have to have somebody by you and turn around and say, isn't this beautiful? And I never did have anybody I could do that with. That's why I don't care to travel.
Well, what if you found somebody you could do that with?
It's too late. I found somebody and it turned out to be a lemon. I mean, I just
Well,
didn't.
no, there are people still. You know. What about Dewey?
I love him very much.
Do you think he would travel with you?
No.
Oh.
No. Because I said, Dewey, did you use up all your vacation? I'm always giving him money. I mean, he dresses fabulously. I want him to look nice. And every time I want him to be on his feet so he isn't in debt all the time. And it seems like if everything he does, he just gets deeper in a hole. He's the kind of guy, nothing he does, he's going to get over. And he makes a wonderful salary. So the other day I gave him quite a bit of money and I paid off his car for him. I says, now start paying off your charge accounts. And, oh, I'm doing good, Mother. You don't have to do this. I'm doing good. I said, well, I want you on your feet before I retire. So the other day I had $30 in Eagle stamps, and I said, you know, Famous got a sale on jeans. And he says, okay, I'll go pick out. I says, use my stamps. He said, Mother, why don't you buy something for yourself? But he is about the most important thing. I mean, I want him to be happy.
How old is he?
27 or 8, I don't know. He's a
Do you
very
want to say
cute
how old
boy.
you are?
65. I'm happy to say it because I was supposed to retire.
Yeah?
Yes, I was. My company asked me not to for a year, and he says, now I'm not going to ask you again. You could work until you're 80 if you want to. And I said, what if I start slipping? He said, slip a little, you could afford to.
Well, that's
But
great.
Great.
Oh, that's good
I'm
that
the one that's running the company for him. No,
Yeah,
I really know
I
my
mean,
business.
To have someone with an attitude like that is better than having someone who...
So, but I hate to tell them, but I did tell them, but they don't believe me that I'm going to retire this year. Nobody believes me. So I don't know what's going to happen. But
what is the name of the company you work for?
Bridal Originals. I've been with them for 10 years. Dewey looks like his father.
Where did you
He's a very sophisticated guy. Dewey is. He likes to go to real nice places and spend a lot of money.
He's married now, right?
No.
No, he's not.
Hallelujah, no.
He...
You know, he was married to that woman about 14 years older than him with the 5 kids.
Yeah.
They've been divorced for 3 years, and boy, he said she was a shrewd old lady, Mom. See, now he realizes that he was just a little naive little kid at that time, so.
He's still young.
Oh, yeah. And he's a real nice-looking boy.
Does he have longer hair now than he did when I last saw him? He almost had a crew cut last time I saw him.
Oh, well, I mean, last time you saw him when he was shoulder length.
I saw him with
When he was
shoulder-length hair.
bald, when he
Maybe
went
he
through
went-
that,
yeah,
and then it was
right.
growing out. He hates himself like that, but I don't think he looked bad. He has his hair styled every 6 months. He pays a fabulous amount to get his hair cut, and that never changes to me. He says, he styled my hair again. I look at him, I think, well, right now, he said, well, it's brushed back, Mom, and it's above my ears. But it comes, you know, kind of low down. He's got a little goatee, but I don't see the goatee and the little mustache. I don't see it. But he's got a man stylist that fixes him up. He pays a fortune, and he doesn't change. I said, do something a little different, you know.
Yeah.
But he loves clothes. He dresses nice.
And he works where?
A.B. Dick. He services copy machine. He has his own apartment. You have to.
Yeah, I do. Can you think of anything else?
Oh, you're not taping this. Oh, that's silly. I thought we were just talking.
Oh, well, no, it's not silly.
Yeah, you're wasting. Could you erase it?
I could, but I...
Well, it's professional.
Hey, Matthew, you talk so well. I'd like to hear your voice on my tape. What do you have to say, Matt?
Well, no one's talking.
You're going to talk, aren't you?
What are you going to talk about?
How old are you, Matt?
It'll record your voice. You talk into that microphone.
What did you tell that man who was sleeping in a chair a while ago?
What'd you tell him?
You told him what?
You want to hold it? You want to hold it, microphone?
Why?
You told him you're not supposed to be sleeping at a picnic? Is that what you said? You want to hold it? Okay, hold it very still.
Yeah,
Okay, it's on. There you go.
Okay.
Now go ahead and talk into it.
Sip.
Sit still.
Sip.
Go ahead and talk. And then I'll
Sip.
record it.
Or sip.
What
Sip.
are you saying?
Sip.
Tell him
Sip.
who's on my shirt. Tell him who's on my shirt.
I won't.
Why won't you?
I mean, just turned it off.
Yeah,
whoa.
don't.
You know what
Look,
he does?
sit down.
The brakes on my car. You put it in.
Oh, my.
Okay, now you talk into this. Here, look.
Yeah.
I'll hold it and you talk into it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
You can say
Oh,
more
wow.
than that.
Why don't you tell
Tell
him
him
a
who's
story
on
about
my-
that
Tell him
Oh,
who's on
well,
my...
I will do that. That.
Can you
It's
hold it?
already on.
I will do that
You want to
more.
hold it? Hold it real
That's
still.
not a microphone like when you
Yes.
sing on television.
Okay.
Tell him who's on my shirt, because I want that on tape. Tell him.
Samso.
Who?
Samso.
Sam who?
Samso.
You're being ignorant.
You're
Tell him-
wasting
Hello,
our tape,
hello.
Matthew.
Tell him
Yeah,
who
we're
lives
going to
next
run
door
out of
to
tape
you.
in a minute.
Tell him who lives next door
Yeah.
to you.
So,
Who lives next door to you? What's his name?
What's his name, Matt?
Dr. Tom.
Oh, come
Let
on.
me hold it.
Oh,
You can talk a lot better than that, so why don't you say
Zim.
just like you're making noises?
Tell him about what you just did, what Milton did. Sitting in a tree. Tell Susie. Tell Susie about this.
Hey, can you turn this off right?
Okay, I will. Okay, it is. Now you tell Susie.
Hey, you know what Uncle Mel
colored
did?
ribbon on
Send me
her
Uncle
hair.
Mel too.
Wait, tell her she can't hear.
Why has that kid got all those spikes
Wait a
in her
minute,
head?
wait.
Oh, no.
Okay, tell her what he did. It's off.
He put me in them too.
Oh, really?
What?
The two freeze.
What did he do?
Put me in two freeze.
Why did he put you in there?
Well, because I wanted them.
Oh.
Did you like it up there?
Yeah.
Tell him about the bark. of the
The
tree.
bark was still so funny. Right there. See, it's funny. Okay, now turn back on.
Okay.
Okay, it's on.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, who are you?
Who am I? What's my
Yeah,
name?
turn on. Hold it.
Yeah, who is your name?
My name is Susan. What's your name?
Matthew.
How do you do, Matthew?
Put it down and I'll record your voice.
Right. Very
Here,
good.
let me hold it. 'cause
You know a
keep
lot
moving
about
around.
microphones.
I will move it around.
Okay, well you gotta hold it still so get your voice.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Susan. Hey, who are you?
I'm Matthew.
Matthew, what's your last name?
I don't know, but I don't know.
You do too. What's your sister's name?
I don't know.
What's your daddy's name?
I don't know.
You don't know anything, do you?
Yes, I do. Freeze, rope, bam, slowly, do, wham.
Very good.
Yes.
Tell them about Spider-Man. Tell them about
You have to
Spider-Man.
put it on there.
Okay. Tell them about Spider-Man.
But did you need to put that down on a coin your voice?
Tell them about Spider-Man, your favorite too. Tell them what happened
bad.
last time, what Spider-Man did.
What did he do?
You tell them, remember?
You know what happened? On Spider-Man?
What
Tell
happened?
me.
But I don't know. You gotta
Yeah.
tell her. You tell her about him going up on the building. Tell her how he gets up on buildings.
You know how he gets up on buildings?
How?
He just climbs up there with his spider shoes.
Ooh. Doesn't he have a web in his wrist or something?
No.
He does.
Yeah, he does.
He has a web. Tell him about Star Wars.
Yeah, tell them who's your favorite person in Star Wars.
Cat, wait, can you,
R2.
R2?
R2 who?
R2D2. You have to push it.
Okay.
You have to push
Wait,
it
let me
on,
hold it.
on that.
Okay, I'm pushing it. Well, you keep moving
Push
it.
it
It's
on
okay.
that and that, so you can hear my
You know
voice.
how to run that one.